What up? Yeah, it's time for another stream. Another stream. Yes, indeed. Yeah, I'm gonna turn off the AC for a little bit, because I noticed that my microphone is picking that up pretty well, and so it's not distracting. But if it does get hot in here, then I will probably turn it back on, and you will just have to deal with it. But looking at my YouTube stats, hey, most of you probably won't make it to that point in the video, whatever point that is, that I decide to turn the AC back on. Let me pour myself a drink, and we'll talk about it. We'll talk some YouTube stats, which I know that's what this series is all about. The series is entirely about YouTube stats and is not at all about video games. That's what the series. That's what this is. It's in the title of the video. It says it right up there in big letters. Tube dev. That's not it. So, anyways, on the agenda, we are going to talk about the game. Don't you worry about that. But there was some changes made to my YouTube channel. Subtle changes, sort of, that were made to my YouTube channel last week. And I talked about them last week. And now we need to see if if my labor is there's like two sayings I'm trying to combine into one right now. What am I trying to say? The fruits of my labor have paid. I don't know. We're gonna see if there's any success there. So, anyways, cheers. And let's dive right into some. Let's try that again. Dive right into some stats. All right, we're gonna switch cameras here, and welcome to the YouTube dashboard. I'm not gonna shy away from showing this off. You guys can see what I see. I think it's just like a weird taboo not to show this off. Although I think that kind of culture has kind of like diminished a little bit. But I don't think it's against terms of service or anything to show this off, so it's probably okay. Probably. If my channel gets deleted, then you'll know what I did. So anyways, here's my dashboard, and we can just kind of see a nice little breakdown here. It's kind of funny to see that my last stream says that it was 0 views, obviously 0 viewer duration, and no peak concurrent viewers. But that is actually not entirely accurate, because as you can see right here, it just says while live. And of course, I don't get that many viewers while live because I always stream at a weird time for pretty much the rest of the world. I guess Australia is probably okay within this time frame, but I guess I don't really have any Australian subscribers, so no one's here when I'm streaming. So you can kind of see a breakdown on my dashboard here of how things are going. Now there is some good news here. Not the +1 subscriber. For the record, I've been sitting at this number. Around this number. It goes up, sometimes it goes down, but it stays right at the brink of 800 subscribers, plus or minus 5. It's been this way for, I don't know, almost the entire time I've been in Japan. I think it's been hovering around that mark. So I think it will be a good day when we finally break the mold of sitting at just around 800 subscribers. I could say, like, getting to 810 would be the victory, because, I said it's plus or minus 5, so that would be 5 over the plus of 800, right? So, but I don't even think that's fair because I think my highest peak number of subscribers was around 820, probably a little bit more. Let's just say, let's try to get to 850 subscribers, and we'll consider this this loop that I've been in for 6 years finally broken. So that's the goal. Oh shit, I forgot to. Hey, we'll just do that right now. Let's go to analytics and how do I get there again? I don't remember. I think it's audience. Yeah. Hey, look at this graph. You see this? Do you see this graph right here? Go away. You see this graph right here? Hey, did you know 85.1% of you are not subscribed to me? Only 14.9%? What are you guys doing? You should be subscribed to this amazing channel right now where I stream weekly content about game development. It's a real hoot and a real holler because I'm a real YouTuber with 799 subscribers. So anyways, subscribe. Let's zoom back out and let's take a look at what I was talking about. Let's go back to the dashboard. And we're going to move over to, I didn't need to go back to the dashboard. Let's go to my live streams here. I'm live right now, if you didn't know that. That's probably mind-blowing. And take a look at these views compared to all the other streams. So, here we are. Game Dev number 15. This is the first official stream that I did with the change, you know, with the new thumbnail and all the garbage SEO crap in the, you know, description. Please, for the love of God, do not look at the description. And wow, that is actually, it is my highest viewed stream out of all of the game dev series here. Like, I think the first one had been my highest viewed, but it has now been surpassed. Now, the TFL stream that I did got pretty good views as well. So this is the thing, is like, I have a pretty regular set of subscribers who tend to watch a lot of the content that I put out. It's not a lot. Like, it's like a fraction of a percent of my 800 subscribers. But it's about 20 subscribers. Seem to pretty regularly watch any of my real output. But many of them don't tend to watch my live streams. So I guess it's because typically with my live streams, I just cared a little bit less. And I still kind of do. I feel like this is still a fairly minimal effort on making my content more interesting, more appealing. But before, I really didn't even give a damn about the thumbnail. I still kind of don't. We'll talk about that in just a minute. And I didn't really give a damn about the title either. I still kind of don't care about the title. Like, this is kind of a joke with the titles right now. Like, this video and my previous one. That's kind of because this one is similar to the last one because I'm just kind of running an experiment here with the, you know, viewership and all that. So I'm trying to kind of keep it consistent only for the sake of the experiment. And I'll probably go back to my previous titles before because as someone who watches a lot of YouTube, I tend to gravitate towards videos that are more informative with their title rather than meme titles or even just clickbaity titles. Like, I'm kind of aware of that, you know, how the internet do, and I just tend to realize that the kind of content I prefer tends to be the kind of people who are fairly straight with their titles and their thumbnails and all of that. You know, it's more analytical, more dry, and not just about juvenile humor or otherwise just getting clicks. That's not 100% true. That's not true for everything. I'm just saying, I think as a general rule, that's how I tend to those are the kind of videos I tend to watch. And so I like to keep my titles very similar to that as well. And so obviously in the past, I kind of try to do some somewhat hypey titles for my videos, but it's still fairly clear about what it is. I mean, right there, game dev number 10. There's one thing is about series is that sometimes I think viewers can feel left out if they hadn't watched everything that came prior, so they're less interested to jump into a series in the middle than if it was the beginning. So I do think, by the way, titling my videos as game dev number whatever is actually somewhat detrimental. It may possibly be detrimental. I don't have enough viewers to really say one way or the other whether it is or not, but you know, viewers are not going to want to jump into a series, and so if this video series looks like a series, they're not going to want to jump into the middle. They'd rather start at the beginning, but when I'm 16 in, they're feeling like I'm going to have to watch each one of these. Let's be generous and just round each stream down to 1 hour, which is not true at all, obviously you can see, but let's just be generous and say that each stream is 1 hour long, and that means up to dev stream number 15, if they wanted to get caught up to this stream now, they would have to watch 15 hours of videos, which is a little bit of an impractical request. So yeah, it's kind of like, I may potentially change the title of game dev going forward, and I may retroactively change all the titles as well, so that way it doesn't look like a series. There's the playlist, by the way. If you are just trying to get caught up on what I've done with my game or whatever, all of these automatically get put into a playlist that go in chronological order. So, you know, don't worry about being able to follow along with the progress. You can just go to the playlist, and even if I don't have it titled, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, etc., you can still go to the playlist and still find it in chronological order, but just without the numbers in the title. So anyways, as you can see, viewership is way better. And if we go to the analytics here, here's where the concern is. There is a pretty hard drop-off at around pretty much past... Like, there's typically a pretty high drop-off right within the first 5 minutes. I think that's normal for most videos. But even still, most people don't even make it to the end with 0% throughout the majority of the video. I'd say, yeah, here's 9% of... Is that really just 9%? Oh, no, 30, sorry, never mind. So I'd say roughly about 66% of the video it goes unwatched, so which is not really great. And I think that comes down to the length of the live stream. If I was someone who really wanted to put a lot of effort into actually making this channel like successful and actually put in the work, then I ideally should make these streams shorter, since they're not really, like, I know I stream it live, like all of this is done live, but it's never intended to be watched live because, like I said, I stream at a weird time, so I kind of don't expect anyone to show up when I'm streaming. I rarely check the chat, and sorry if anyone has actually chatted during any of these streams and I never responded to you, but this is why, is because I try to check my chat just in case someone does come in, but it's not my focus at all because, to repeat myself yet again, I don't expect really anyone to show up while I'm live streaming. The way that I record these videos, see right there, that kind of tells you everything. The way that I do these videos is that I kind of expect people to watch it as an archive and not really as a live stream. And so that means it needs to be treated like a normal video that you would watch on YouTube and not like a live stream, in which case it would be more ideal to focus on making shorter videos that are within the range of my viewership. You know, every channel is a little bit different depending on their type of content, but ideally, you know, your viewers are going to only tolerate a certain length of videos, and typically if you go over that, then you start seeing high drop-offs because there's a large percentage of your subscribers who may only come there for like a 5-minute video, and if you put out a 10-minute video, well, they might stick around for an extra minute or two, but then you really start seeing that nosedive because those subscribers are not there for that length of video. I think like Sean Woods is a good example of a channel like that. If you don't know Sean Woods, he does like mousetrap reviews. I really enjoy his content, but he tends to attract a lot of boomers, which as much as they like to talk about how boomers like to talk about how short our attention span is, the millennials and zoomers, I feel like a lot of boomers also have a fairly short attention span when it comes to online videos. And yeah, they, like, my mom always talks about how crazy it is that YouTube videos are like 20 minutes or whatever long. She's like, remember back in the day when YouTube just used to have that 10-minute guide or 10-minute requirement? Why'd they get rid of that? So yeah, so anyways, Sean Woods is a good channel to kind of represent what I was just talking about, where he's in the past even talked about this pretty openly, where like he tries to shorten his videos to be very, very short. And you can see, especially if you've been watching him for a long time, like I have, you can see how he starts doing a lot of, I think they're called J cuts, where it's like the audio keeps going, but the video has already cut. So you kind of have like the audio from the previous shot continuing, but the new video or the new clip, I guess you'd say, is here. So he does a lot of J cuts and soft transitions like that to kind of keep the flow going very rapidly in his videos, because he tries to keep it like under 5 minutes. And you know, that's for his channel, but you have other channels like I think Summoning Salt would be another good example. Let me make sure that's who I'm thinking of. I gotta bring this up, which means you gotta sit back for just a moment. There's Sean Woods. Summoning Salt. Here we go. He has 1.3 million subscribers, and let me just bring this over here, so you can see. Let's put it in the same window. So you can see here Summoning Salt, he has 1.35 million subscribers, and you can see that whenever he does put out a video, not only are they long, like this one's 50 minutes, 54 minutes, 44 minutes, 50 minutes, so on and so forth, he gets a lot of views. In fact, probably more views than his subscribers in most cases. I don't have I think there's a tool that like a plugin that you can like hook into the YouTube API to see viewer retention and stuff like that. I don't have that, but I would imagine that his viewer retention is pretty high, but despite the fact that his videos are long. So what I'm trying to say is that every channel has a different audience, and that audience prefers a certain length of content. And the point I'm trying to get to is that looking at this graph, which by the way, this is the first graph I've gotten to look at, because you have to have so many viewers to be able to look at this graph. And if you don't cross that threshold to get enough data, then you just don't get this graph. So we're going to come back to this, but in short, my information is flawed. Like I said, we're going to come back to that in just a minute. But what we're seeing here is that at around the 30-minute mark is about what I would want for my videos. And that makes sense, because in the past when I did after the anime reviews, like the videos I did after the anime reviews that were kind of like, I guess you could say life updates with life lessons or whatever, I usually tried to shoot for that 20 to 30-minute mark. And so I think a lot of the viewers that I have that tend to watch videos, which those are the subscribers I was talking about that tend to watch like my real content. Like there's 20 or so people who tend to always watch my real content output. I think they're the ones that tend to look for that 20 to 30-minute range, and then starts to kind of fall off from there because they're not subscribed to me for hour and 44-minute long streams. So in an ideal world, I would want to do these streams but make them snappy. I shouldn't ramble on so much. I should probably bullet point out the things I want to talk about, so that way I don't spend too much time kind of either repeating myself or trying to remember things that I want to talk about. But also at the same time, I kind of enjoy these streams. They're kind of relaxing. They do sometimes feel like work, because obviously I feel like I need to be here scheduled for a time, 9 o'clock. That's when I do these streams every Saturday, usually, unless I have a headache or just something comes up. But in most cases, I try to be here 9 o'clock to do these streams. And when you have a routine, of course, it's important. It helps build habits having that routine, but at the same time, that routine also starts making things feel like work. And so it's kind of a weird relationship, but it's a relaxing work. It's still work, but it's not taxing on me, I guess I should say. And the other thing I like about these streams is that thoughts that are inside your head sound good in your head until you speak them out loud, you know? It's kind of like the old cliche of like, before you talk to a girl, you should like stare in the mirror and actually talk to yourself, like with your voice, not just run it through your head. You know, it's kind of like that cliche. It's the same kind of premise, you know, like it sounds good up here, and then once you say it, it's kind of like, And it's not just that. It's that when I talk through these things, I can also like see where problems might come up or whatever. Like it's kind of I'm really good at interrupting myself. That's one thing that I realize. Well, hang on, let's just keep going here. Let's not interrupt myself. And let's just say, yeah, like when I do these streams, I get to talk through a lot of stuff that has been in my head, but I may not see entirely how to do it. And so I tend to like come up with ideas like just by talking. So I don't know if I really want to shoot for shortening these streams, because then it just feels like I'm just doing it for YouTube and not for myself, if that makes sense. So, you know, that makes it sound like, see, I don't like putting it that way either, because then it kind of sounds like if, God forbid, I decide to change to trying to do shorter and shorter live streams, then it almost sounds like I'm only doing it for the YouTube side of things. And that wouldn't be wholly true. I don't want to paint it in like a negative light. There's nothing wrong with wanting to try to pursue that. You know, there's a lot of value, obviously, in getting more views on this channel as well, because having a platform means you just have more power to promote stuff, especially when you are an artist who tends to write music and make books and make games, you know, who never gets views on any of his stuff other than marginal views, never broken 1,000 views on anything I've ever put out, let's put it that way. So as someone who does that, it would be great to, you know, finally have a platform that I can actually draw some attention towards some of the stuff that I pour heart and soul into. So, you know, like, there's part of me that wants to do it, and I think if I wanted to do it, it would be because I want to do it. So it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. It's just, I'm saying this because it's possibly something that I may do in the future, but that comes back to what I was saying a moment ago about this not being the most accurate information. So this was only one video to draw from, where I decided to change my SEO stuff, the thumbnail. Well, that's really it, just the SEO stuff and the thumbnail. This was the first video that I decided to do that. And here's the thing. Earlier I also mentioned I'm pretty lazy with the thumbnails as well. I really hate doing thumbnails. Let's see, I think I'd go to this folder. That's probably it. Yeah. So for the thumbnails, it's really all the same, just with variations. So you can see it just changes the main character. Oops. It just changes the main character's face, and that's it. It's pretty much the same thumbnail otherwise. And so that is to say that people who may see this may see the first video, the one that we're looking at here from last week, may see this thumbnail and be interested. But then when they see almost a very similar thumbnail and title coming out the next week, well, they may not have the same kind of interest. And the following week, the interest will taper off some more and some more and some more. So basically, what I'm saying is this we need what were they saying at the start of the pandemic? It was smooth the curve or whatever. We need to smooth the curve. We need to smooth this graph out with more information, more data. Because I believe interest is going to be highest with the change. And if the change was only successful because it was a change and not because it actually made things interesting, then if it was only because of the change, then we'll see these values begin to drop off over the weeks. If the change was actually successful in actually increasing interest in my videos, then hopefully we'll see consistent or even more interest in my videos. Which brings me to click-through rate, which is actually, this is the first time I've kind of looked at it since the video. Previously, I did kind of glance at this information here, and I thought this was pretty interesting, but I didn't look at the actual impressions, which is, I think, pretty rough, honestly. A 1.3% I think is pretty low. I'm not sure what the normal impression rate is, but I think it's usually around like 3 or 5%, but I'm not 100% sure about that value. I could be wrong, but I think that's what it's at. So 1.3 is pretty low. So that could mean that this is only changed, the only interest that has been garnered from these changes is just with the fact that it's a change and not because people are interested in my content. So basically what I'm saying is it's just subscribers of mine that have clicked on the video and not really other people who have clicked on it. So we'll have to see as this goes on. We're going to be monitoring this as the next few weeks continue. I'm going to give it a month. That's going to be 4 streams, which I think is a pretty good data set. It's not very complete. I may continue to, like, basically here's what I'm saying. It's like for the next 4 streams, well, I guess it's going to be this stream, so last stream, this stream, and then 2 more streams, so 4 streams in total. I'm just going to pretty much try to keep things fairly consistent and see how numbers go by just keeping things consistent, which goes back to what I was saying about the title, is that the title kind of has this, it's tongue-in-cheek. It's very obviously tongue-in-cheek, but it's also somewhat that kind of memey and somewhat clickbait kind of title thing that's going on there. And I'm going to try to keep that consistent because, like I said, right now I'm testing testing these changes, and so I want to try to keep as many variables consistent as possible, including the titles, which obviously I'm not going to keep the titles exactly the same, but I'm going to try to keep it within the same kind of realm. So for these 4 streams, like I said, last one, this one, and then 2 more, I'm just going to continue to keep this consistent, and we're going to look at the stats there after those streams. And then after that, I'm still going to continue this kind of changes to my YouTube channel, but we're going to try doing some tweaking and some improvements. So like I said, one of those improvements could be removing the number from the game dev title, just so that way it doesn't look like a series, but instead just looks like just a live stream, a video, so people don't feel like they're entering the series in the middle of a series. So that's one change that could happen, but we're gonna wait until after this time, and of course possibly changing thumbnail. I don't know. I'll probably continue to find a lazy way of doing thumbnails, but anyways, so yeah. I think that's enough looking at numbers. Numbers is fun, YouTube numbers. Here's the other great thing is, here's one reason why I also want to get more views on the channel is, of course, I would love people to play this game that I've put a lot of time into. Like, let's bring Steam over to the window. And you can see I've been using RPG Maker for 450 hours. Now, to be fair, about 120 of those hours was devoted towards my previous game, so subtract 120 hours from that 450 hours. And that's the total time that, more or less, roughly, that I've spent in RPG Maker developing the game. Now, to also be clear, that number is still nowhere near accurate because there's been a lot of time spent doing other things that were not necessarily in RPG Maker, such as working on music, working in Photoshop. If depending on how technical you want to get, there's been a lot of time, browsing forums, adjusting looking for plugins, looking for assets, and also on the note of plugins, also time spent modifying plugins, debugging plugins, etc. So, that 330 hours would be the 120 subtracted from that is not wholly accurate, but it's a lot of time spent developing something. And so I would definitely love to have people play this game. And I think that's actually a pretty tall order, unfairly. And this is a video that I may make a video about this later after I've gotten further into the game progress, maybe even closer to whenever I publish it. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it might be sooner than later. Who knows? But RPG Maker has a bad reputation. I know this because I was kind of opposed to using RPG Maker when my friend had suggested that I use RPG Maker to make the game that I want to make. I kind of scoffed. I was like, well, that piece of shit? That's the engine that everyone uses to make shitty games, right? So, RPG Maker has this bad reputation. It's funny, I was talking to another friend of mine, a different friend, who's helping with programming for an RPG Maker game. And she was telling me that the devs of the game that she's helping with are working really, really hard to make it not look like an RPG Maker game. Because doing so is going to improve people's interest. People just are not interested in RPG Maker games because they have a really bad reputation for being low-quality garbage. So yeah, that's a video I want to talk about at some point as well. And basically, the reason I brought that up, though, was because it's a pretty tall order to ask a lot of people to play my game, because I can do as much as I can to erase the RPG Maker-ness about it, but I just don't have the budget or talent, nor is it within the scope of this game to completely remove every RPG Maker-ness about the game. Like, there's still going to be some obvious RPG Maker quirks that are just going to be present and visible, and I think just the sheer fact that those quirks and RPG Makerisms exist will turn off a huge number of players who will not even give it the time of day. So hopefully, if more people are watching this series and become interested in what I'm making, hopefully they'll at least be willing to give the game a try. Whether they like it or not, that's totally fine. Like, first of all, JRPGs, turn-based JRPGs have fallen out of fashion quite a lot. Other than maybe Pokemon, I don't know how many turn-based JRPGs in a traditional sense are really still relevant in the mainstream. So I would totally understand if someone played my game but just couldn't really get into it. But hopefully they would at least be willing to give it a try before just writing it off. So hit that subscribe button. Remember, it's like 85% of you are not subscribed to me. Now, let's open up RPG Maker. That's enough looking at numbers. Here we are. There's been a lot of work that's actually happened. And to interrupt myself, I do need to check something real fast. There's maybe a possibility of an emergency. So I hope you can forgive the unprofessionalism while I check my phone. But because there's the possibility of an emergency, I should check this now before it does become a real emergency. So just give me a second here. Just look at RPG Maker. Just stare at that screen, yeah. Okay, crisis averted, no problems. I didn't think there would be any problems, but just wanted to make sure. So yeah, don't worry about that. We'll, here we are, and we'll just continue with the RPG Makerisms. So, yeah, I actually got a lot of work done, although I don't know. Actually, I might show some of it off, because it's a lot of story stuff, and I know I've avoided story stuff, but it's all kind of stuff at the beginning of the game. And it's not really like necessarily related with the story, if that makes sense. Like, it's not the story plot. It's just characters. So I could probably show at least one of them off. But allow me to explain, because I actually probably don't have a lot to show off during this stream anyways, which is also why I spent so long talking about YouTube stuff. Yes, as I had mentioned in my last stream, I've started working again. I do have a regular daytime job now. And I kind of was worried that may affect the amount of time I can dedicate towards the game. But funnily enough, at least for this week and possibly next week, I'm going to have a lot of time to at least dedicate towards writing. The job that I started working at, I'm at least willing to give up enough information to say that I'm working at a school, and actually I'm not working directly for the school, but it's through like a dispatch company, and the dispatch company just said you need to be at the school at this day and time, and that was really it. And I showed up at the school, and they're like, we're in the middle of doing tests right now, and so we don't really need your help, so just stay out of the way. Just sit down. So literally I spend 6 hours doing nothing but sitting. Like, they have zero expectations of what I should be doing during that time. And as a result, I've had a lot of free time. And so, you know, I brought my laptop. My laptop's a piece of shit. I probably can't even run RPG Maker on it. But I can at least open up a Word document and write the words that I want characters to say, and then I can just move that over to RPG Maker whenever I get home. So that's just what I've done. I've gotten 3 more characters done. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but if you remember, it took me... Sorry, where is he? It took me forever to finish Mallory right here, to finish his quest. So it's not that these characters have had their quest finished, but... I would say it was probably about 3 times faster if I had just been doing this at home, trying to crank out these words and then getting distracted or whatever, and getting bored or whatever it may be. So, yeah, I was able to get 3 characters done. We have the item shop. The shopkeeper now has his introductory dialogue, as well as the full functioning shop, which I can't wait to show that off. It's very simple. It's very bog standard, like RPG kind of shop stuff. But I'm glad I figured out this logic without having the need a plug-in to do it. So I'll show that off in just a minute. I got the library introduction set up. Although I still, now that I remember, I knew I was forgetting something about the library. I do have the librarian's introduction set up. However, the function of bringing the 4 missing pages to him to get your stats increased has not been implemented yet. Whoops. Yeah, so I guess I still need to do that. And then also, I have a character in the blue house here. This character here. I have his dialogue written on a Word document, but I have not transferred it over into RPG Maker. Here's the thing. It actually takes a surprisingly long time to do that. Just because, like, in the way that I've done it in the Word document is that I just try to focus on getting the words out. And I think this is actually kind of helped me with the writing process, although it does make things a little bit slower. So like typically before, like with Mallory, when I did his dialogue, is I would like, let's use like acting terms here. Blocking is like where, you know, players, my God, where actors would need to move on the stage, right? So you'd have blocking and then, or stage direction, I guess is probably another term. Is that? I don't know. I probably confuse these terms now. It's been a long time since I done theater stuff. I think I was a teenager back then, so it's been good decade or so. I'm choking on my drink too. That's what happens when you get older and you're not a teenager anymore. Yeah. I'm fine. Don't worry about me. All right. Yeah, so whatever. I'm going to use those, even though I'm probably using them incorrectly. I'm going to define these terms now. These are Nolan's terms and not true stage theater terms, all right? Blocking or stage direction, I'm going to use them interchangeable, and that just means like where people should stand or how they should move on the stage. So there, I've defined those terms, or in the game, I guess, in this case. All right. So normally, whenever I write the dialogue, it's like I will do the stage direction as well as the dialogue, this includes reactions. I also kind of have like this visual novel style kind of thing going on, only with a few characters because I don't have enough art for all of the characters, so I can only do it with the characters that I have art for. The main character, obviously, I have art for because I bought her from an asset pack, and actually that asset pack included 3 other girls, I think, as well, so I'm able to use their art. So that's this girl and this girl up here, so they also have art as well. And then I think it's just the final boss that I used his like battle image as the like visual novel image, so he kind of technically has one, but it's nowhere near as effective as like the main character, because the main character has different emotions, so I can always change out the image. Anyway, so like you can see that I have to spend time choosing the image to be displayed, so the character's reaction for the visual novel style like picture that's in frame, applying the sound effects, and of course the dialogue itself. And I have to be mindful of some scripting, I guess you'd say, coding. See, if I say scripting, that sounds like different because we're talking about writing, but if I say coding, that sounds wrong because this is not really coding, I guess. So I'm going to say coding anyways. I have to do coding here in the script, in the dialogue, for like colors, showing nameplates, or other stuff like text size changes, text speed, and stuff like that. Here with Mallory, there's like not a lot of that. It's still stuff I have to be mindful of, but another example would be like with the shopkeeper. Actually, there's a lot of like his dialogue moves very slowly. You'll see why, because I think I'm going to show him off, because I want to show off the shop function. You know, I have to code that in to the dialogue, as well as keeping track of variables. Certain bits of dialogue are going to reference certain things, and those things may change depending on what the character has done. So to keep track of what that character's done, it references a variable, and so I need to basically plug that variable into the dialogue. Anyways, what I'm saying is it's a lot of stuff to keep track of when I'm just writing dialogue. And the other thing too is character, and in that sense I mean like their personality and how it comes through and what they say. Making sure, I think there is a writing term for it, but I can't remember it off the top of my head. But basically it's changing the dialogue to kind of fit like a accent or some sort of personality trait or whatever, to be kind of more reflective of who the person is. And doing that characterization, that colorful dialogue, coloring their dialogue that way, also takes a little bit of thought. So But normally, all of these things that I just talked about, from the stage direction to the coding to the visual novel stuff, to the colorful dialogue, I do that all at once while I'm writing here. And I do it here in RPG Maker, which is really not it doesn't give you the best, text editor. Like, I bring this up and, he says, what more do you want? And let's just pretend this line goes on forever. I will just write out what I am saying right now. And as you can see, it just keeps going and going without any sort of word wrap. And that makes it difficult to keep track of any typos or mistakes that I have made, because it only shows a limited number of characters on screen before I need to scroll back to see what I have written. Right? So this is not a very ideal way of writing text. There is, like, the game automatically, this is thanks to a plugin, not by default. RPG Maker does not do this by default. There is a plugin I have that will automatically word wrap the dialogue. So in that case, all of this one very, very, very long line that I've written will get word wrapped in the game. However, while I am in the editor, it looks like this. And yeah, technically I could actually push enter occasionally, but again, that's just like one more thing that I have to keep track of while I am writing this dialogue. That just keeping track of all of this stuff makes it a very slow process to, like, manage all of these different things. So that was very long-winded to basically say, on my laptop with the Word document, the way that I do the dialogue is I'm just trying to put words on paper. I am not worried about inserting the variables, doing any of the staging. Obviously, I can't do any of the visual novel stuff because that's only done through the editor. Nor do I even worry about characterization either. I just write the words, and then when I come back to the editor, like later that night after work, then while I'm putting the text into the editor, I also make changes to the dialogue to fit the character's personality. For example, I'll talk about this right now. Fiddle is obviously actually supposed to be a kind of a young child. And since she's young, she tends to misunderstand people a lot because obviously she's young and doesn't have a very full vocabulary. So whenever she hears like a word that she doesn't understand, this is just how kids' brains function anyways. Take it from me, who teaches kids. Rather than, their brain, an adult brain would recognize, oh, that's a word I don't know. Instead, she kind of like says, oh, that kind of sounds like a word that I know. And so he must have meant this word, right? It creates a lot of wordplay in the game. There's a ton of wordplay in this game because of that. And actually, it's kind of tough to do that sometimes. I have to try to think of... So she, like, misspeaks a lot because she's still developing her, like, her speaking skills. We're assuming that she could be in maybe 2nd, 3rd, or 4th grade, somewhere in elementary school, right? So still developing speaking skills. And so, there's also, like... misspoken words, mispronounced, stuff like that. So it's all stuff that I have to, like, keep track of. And unless it's important to the dialogue, whenever I'm in the Word document, I don't do it. Unless, like I said, unless it's important for the dialogue. Because maybe there's a few occasions in the game where her own misunderstanding or misspeaking leads to situations in the game, and so obviously it's because of that. That was like that misspoken word or misunderstood word is like a turning point in the story. So there's no way I could avoid it otherwise without that existing there. So yeah. So However, like I said, this does kind of feel like it makes the process much longer because it kind of feels like I'm having to write the dialogue twice because I write it on the Word document first, and then I have to bring it over to the editor, and then I write it into the editor. I don't copy and paste it. I don't know how much faster that would be anyways, because obviously it's not really as simple as copying and pasting because of what else needs to be done to the work, like adding the nameplate at the top. You know, I typically, I don't know, it doesn't matter. Who cares? It doesn't matter. But anyways, because I have to write it once in the Word document and then once in the game, it just feels like it takes a lot longer. So it's still not the quickest process, which is why I only have the shop and the inn done, and I still haven't added Quill's dialogue yet either, despite having already written it. So yeah, actually it felt like it was quite a lot of work. Oh, there was something else that I got done this week as well. Felt like it was something pretty important, but I don't remember exactly what it was, and I do remember reminding myself that I had gotten that done, and now I don't remember what it was. Now, last time we had left off with this area here, with the song. Now, to be fair, I have not actually implemented the parallax effect for this staircase yet. Yeah, I guess you could say got bored. You know, this is really the final area of the game. It's not high priority to be finished, so I got this floor decorated. I know there's like a lot of empty spaces to the sides here, but you won't be able to see that. So yeah, it works pretty well. I did make some slight changes here. Oh yeah, I don't know if this was the thing that I forgot or not. I tried something. How about I just show this off instead of explaining it, because I think that would just be faster. So I'm just going to put the player's starting position here. Actually, no, let me start them in here. It's getting kind of warm. I feel like I should turn on the AC. I'm at the point now, I think, where, yeah, we're at 51 minutes. So by this point, I think people who are going to turn off the video have already turned it off. So sorry, folks. I'm going to turn on the AC. It's pretty warm in here, so you're going to hear it in the background. Sorry about that. Just listen to my voice and try to block out the white noise that you hear of the AC running. So yeah, let me show this off. I haven't really made any changes here. So no worries about this section. We're just gonna go right up here and go right in. I don't remember if I showed this off last time. I think I remember talking about it, but I don't remember if I actually showed it off. But anyways, it just says, you know, like, are you sure you want to go on, because you're not gonna be able to turn back. So anyways, just say, yes, I'm ready. And then here's the change. Did you catch it? I hope you did. Because it's supposed to be big and obvious. It was the big flashing go sign. I've implemented that. I talked about possibly implementing that last time, because I was trying to think of some sort of way that I could give some sort of indication to the player that they need to just keep going straight and not stop, in an effort to try to keep them in sync with the music. And I was trying to think of ways to possibly do that, because just outright giving them the message saying, if you know, like, don't stop, there's no reason to explore, especially in this type of game, although in probably many other games too, giving that kind of explicit message, like through a dialogue box, players would feel it's kind of suspicious. So even though it's saying don't stop, don't explore, there's nothing to find, they're going to think it's trying to hide something from you. So there's going to be a large number of players who will try to stop and will try to explore and will try to find something, even though the message was actually being truthful. And my game, for sure, plays a lot with logic and stuff like that, where I think many players, especially by the end of the game like this, will read that kind of message and will instantly assume that my game is trying to hide something from them. So I could not possibly give them an explicit message saying, don't stop, just keep moving, because they're going to think I'm lying to them. So I had to try to think of some sort of way that's going to encourage the players to, as I said, just don't stop, keep moving. That way, hopefully, they can stay in sync with the music as much as possible. So that's where I implemented the flashing go sign, because I was hoping that this will be a clear enough indication, like it's a UI element, it's not just a message box popping up, that indicates to the players that they need to keep moving. It is clear, very clear and concise. So, yeah, the one thing I don't like about it is it does kind of feel like it's, making this last section into more of a mini game rather than actually making it a, I don't know, like an interesting. It detracts from the moment, I guess you could say. It feels like it's a mini game. It doesn't feel like it's the final hours, you know. So I don't know how happy I am with it. I may not change it if I can't come up with any better idea. Like, I don't feel like I want to get rid of it, I guess I should say. I'm not happy with it, but I don't want to get rid of it because it does do the job that I wanted to do, I think. I could be wrong. If you think I'm wrong, if you think it doesn't encourage players to just move forward, let me know in the comments. Boost my engagement. And so, but I think it probably does that job well. It's just the fact that it does the job, but also kind of detracts from the moment. And so it's kind of a toss-up. It's like, I would like to change it, but if I cannot think of any better alternative to it, then it's just going to have to stay as it is. So if I think of a better alternative, then I will do it. But if I don't think of a better alternative, then I will just leave it. So, anyways, yeah, that was one of the things that got implemented. Right. Oh, yeah. I remember what it was that I had forgotten about, but now I remember. It's a very small change, but again, on a similar note of trying to tell players to interact with things or to do certain things. It's right in front of your face right now, actually. I made a small change to my tile set here in the seas. Believe it or not, I'd been talking about this probably a few streams back when I was still actively working on the seas, on the vast seas here, that I needed to implement the information about how to navigate the ocean, because obviously it's big, and when you get out into the middle of it, all you see is blue in every direction, and it's kind of tough to navigate. So, I mentioned that I needed to put like sort of a hint. And I just had always forgotten about it up until this past week. I finally got around to implementing a hint right here. When you talk to this tablet, it'll give you a hint on how to navigate the seas. Now, here's the thing, is that I do have this little like sparkly thing, this little sparkly sprite that I can implement into the game to indicate it's something you can interact with. You can see it right here. For example, like this tree. This tree is a fairly normal, typical tree that you can find throughout the game. Like you can see another one right here. So in an effort to make it more obvious to players that you can interact with this tree, I've added this little sparkly sprite so they know, oh, that's something I can interact with. But what if there's something that I want the player to interact with that is not a standard part of the tile set that they see regularly, but still kind of blends in with the tile set. Like it's kind of like a 50-50% chance that players would realize they can interact with the thing or not. How can I reduce that from a 50-50 chance to more like a 80-20% chance that are the other 20-80, I think is what I'm trying to say. Whatever. 80% chance that they will interact with the thing. Hopefully 100%, but without having to detract, without having to use the sparkly thing. Because I think if I use the sparkly thing too often, players will come to rely on it to tell them important information way too often. So I don't want to rely on it. So I came up with this idea. I hope it works. This came from a couple of different videos I had watched about how games would use certain colors to stand out. And of course, one of the things is that red tends to be often used in video games to highlight important things or dangerous things. So I decided I wanted to have this idea of like using red on these tablets to indicate, to hopefully kind of draw attention to them, so players will be like, oh, that's a red tablet right there. But then, you know, just making it red is kind of lame. I also wanted to make it seem like it's something that they could possibly interact with. And so I kind of had this idea of maybe I could put an exclamation mark on it. But the exclamation mark itself would be, I don't know, it's a little bit too pedestrian, I guess you could say. Like, I don't know, it's just, it's a little bit too obvious. It's almost on par with the, you know, little sparkly sprite that I have down here. So, like, I kind of thought about this a little bit, and I thought, well, I could do something that's shaped similar to an exclamation mark, but doesn't immediately read as an exclamation mark. So that's where I came up with this idea of, like, two triangles like this, that, you know, it looks like an exclamation mark, but it's also not wholly an exclamation mark, and it's also in red. And so my hope here is that by using that red and somewhat exclamation mark shape, that players will consider interacting with these tablets, because it provides important information along their journey. So, yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's all that was the important thing that I wanted to talk about. But you know, there's not much else to say about that. So yeah, that got implemented, and yeah, let's. Oh, you can see here, it's here too. I also need to put some hints here. Doing the final fight here, there is an attack that one of the bosses uses that can be very, very devastating if the player is not prepared for it. Now, here's the thing. The attack is triggered on a set number of turns. So as long as you're aware and you're counting the turns in your head that attack is coming up, it becomes way more manageable. And so rather than weaken the attack, which would make the fight way more easier, I'd like some sort of way to inform the player that attack is coming up. And there's a few ideas I have, but one of the ideas I have is just like on one of these tablets needs to inform players of where to find the 3 fires to light these torches. But the other one, it could either just be a mirror of it, which seems kind of lame to me. Or I thought about using one of the other tablets to just kind of mention that, to kind of give some sort of hint that every 5 turns that attack is going to land. And they probably won't realize that's what it's talking about when they first read it. But then when they die to the boss and they're like, and they realize, oh, that's what the tablet is talking about. It's talking about every 5 turns I should guard. Hopefully then they'll understand and then have a much better time the second attempt. So, and for the record, no, I don't think it's the most ideal case to expect the players to die on their first time fighting the boss. But I guess that's a flaw with my game design. I just have to do better next time. That's all I can say. It's not something I'm going to change. But I have 2 more bosses that I need to make, so hopefully I can do better there. So anyways, let's show off the item shop real fast and show off what's been done there. So I'm gonna continue my game for right now. Actually, I think with the item shop, it doesn't matter whether I continue or start a new game. Yeah, I don't think it does. There's 2 different things that's going to happen here. And this is going to be kind of There's going to be something somewhat similar for almost all of the NPCs that it's going to do this. So, for now, I'm just going to go straight to the item shop, and then I'll mention what I'm talking about in whatever comes up. So, you know, you come to the item shop, and you want to talk to the guy. So, here, I'll read through the dialogue, and you'll see what I was talking about with some of the wordplay. This is not the best example. The librarian has a ton of, like, wacky wordplay. I think it's really funny. I kind of wanted to show him off, but since his system has not been implemented yet, we're going to show off the shop, because the shop system is, I'm proud of, but as I said, is fairly standard. So, anyways, let's go through it. So, hi, I'm Fiddle. And here you can see what I'm talking about with the timing thing. He stutters a little bit. I'm not going to read the stutters. I'm not going to do any of that theater stuff that I was talking about when I was a teenager. Anyways, hi, I'm Felix. Felix, the shop owner, obviously. I don't suppose you brought a shipment of supplies, did you? Nope. Well, I guess I have enough supplies to last another month, hopefully. But if this keeps up, I don't know if I'll be able to keep the shop open. I have some supplies, if you're looking to buy, of course. Yeah, maybe later, Kay. But hey, Mr. Feelit, why? So you can see there's some of the wordplay there. So Fiddle, this is very intentional. Doesn't get anyone's name right. She gets every single person's name wrong in the game. Anyways, so instead of Felix, it's Feelit. So, hey, Mr. Feelit, why do you sputter so much? What? I don't... Oh, who am I kidding? I just can't, you know, the stress. The town, my shop, my family, I feel like there's a lot of pressure, and I can't handle the pressure. It feels like I've lost something. What is it? Oh, I know. Maybe you lost your consonants. Yeah, when I lose my consonants, sometimes I sputter a lot. So, consonants. This is the way that I've done it as well in the game, is you can see... So, the main word is confidence, and I can assure you, hopefully, by this point in the game, because this is after the intro, and don't worry, the intro will mention confidence a lot, you will be aware of what confidence is, so when she says consonants... you should know what she's actually talking about. But, anyways, as you can see, I have intentionally colored the incorrect letters of the word gray. So, confidence should be entirely in blue, but since sonance is not confidence, sonance in consonance has been colored gray. As well as in sputter, you can see it should be stutter, but I colored P gray because she says sputter instead of stutter. Don't worry, mister. You just need to have consonants and everything will be better. Thank you, I think. Yeah, just like that. Do you know where you leaved your consonants? Didn't I tell you? Yeah. Wait, did you tell me? I don't remember. Ah, wait. You lost your consonants because of all the pleasure. Pressure, not pleasure, but yes. Everyone in this town is relying on me to provide food and supplies for them, including my own family. And not to mention my finances. If I can't make enough sales, how will I feed my family? Oh, you want to throw a surprise party? Surprise? Wah! A party right now? This must be a warm coming party. No, I said supplies, not surprise. Oh. I was really excited for the party. Well, why don't you get the supplies yourself? I can't. The roads have become difficult to travel because of that monster. Most merchants don't even want to come near a town with unhappy people. It's just not good for their business. Tough roads, unhappy people, and that eliminates all of the merchants. Except for the most stubborn of merchants, I suppose I'm thankful for their tenacity. But Mr. Feelit, you have all sorts of scary weapons here. Why don't you chase the scary monsters away? I'm a family man, not a warrior. Even if I picked up a sword, it's not like I know how to use it. Hang on. Alright, I gotta turn up the volume for this because this is kind of cute. I'm pretty proud of this moment. Here's my volume mixer. Let's turn up the volume. Oh, I also realized that my system volume is pretty low. So let's turn that up. There we go. Alright. Oh, that's easy. You just swing and it goes swoosh and the bad guys go and then they disappeared. I like to hum this song. Oh, and when they disappeared, I like to hum this song to make it feel like I astonished something. So here we go. It goes like this. Do 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 do. You should try it, Mr. Feel It. Like this. Do 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 do. No, no. It's like this. Do 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 do. I see. So it's wait. What am I doing? So, anyways, this is a cute moment. All right. I like that. I'm not going to fight any monsters. I just have to hope that more merchants will deliver supplies. If only the people around town were a little bit happier, maybe a few more tenacious merchants would try to come here. Oh, I can do that. I'm going to make all of the townspeople happy. I hope you can. If you're able to make the folks happy, even just a little bit, I'm certain I'll be able to stock more supplies and new stuff. Okay, Mr. Feel It, I'll come by to say hi often, and you can show me your new stuffs. Alright, so I think it's at this point, the next line, there's going to be somewhat of a divergence in what gets said, depending on what the player has done. So I'm going to give you some insight on the back end in just a moment. So let's see if that, first of all, let's see if I'm right. It is the next line. If you're unsure about the overall mood of the town, you can try asking my daughter Joy. She's always been a little bit of a nosy person, so she always seems to know what's going on in town. Never mind, I think it's the next line. Yes. Yes, this is where the divergence is. Is she here? I don't see her. No. She likes to play at the park near the river. Ever since that monster came, she hasn't been able to attend school, so now she spends almost all of her time here. Or there. I don't know if that sounds super fun or super boring. I hope you'll talk with her often. She could use a friend around her age. Okay, I will. Thank you, Fiddle. And then that's that. Before I show off the shop system, let's refresh. Like I said, it doesn't matter if I continue or start a new game. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to change this. Instead of going straight to Felix, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to talk to Joy. If I had to rate how happy the folks are on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd say it's a 3. Have you seen that guy racing around the city? He says he's the Imperial Postman passing through town. I think he thinks he's still working, but I'm pretty sure the Imperial Post forgot about him. I actually feel a little sad for him. He might need someone to help him smile again once he finds out he isn't working anymore. I mentioned this before in a previous stream. Joy is kind of acts as this like town crier. She kind of keeps track of. She gives the player hints on where to find people who are unhappy. Those are the quests, as well as kind of tell you what the town's happiness is at. So that's where you can find that information. So now we're gonna go talk to Felix, and it's gonna go through all the same stuff before. So I'm gonna skip through this. Alright, so it's going to be right around here that it changes. I think it's right after this one. So if you're unsure about the overall mood of the town, you can try asking my daughter Joy. She's always been a little bit of a nosy person, so she always seems to know what's going on in town. And there's the change. Oh yeah, I met Joy. She's so super cute and friendly. I want to play together. I'd be really grateful if you two were friends. I hope once this town's recent dysfunction has been sorted out, you'll be able to play with my Joy. Thank you, Fiddle. So it's only a very small change. However, there's something that happened in the background when that happened. And that is actually the town experience. So I've also talked about this before. So the way that the town ranks up, like let's go talk to Joy. Let's go to Joy. So, you know, she says that the happiness is on a scale of 3. Or it's at a 3. So the way that it ranks up is that the controller in the background, basically, you get experience points, and so every little action that you kind of do in town will add an experience point towards the town. And then, at a certain point, when it crosses a certain threshold, your town will rank up. So it's just like a leveling system in any other kind of situation, like your character's levels or whatever. But the experience points are gained by you doing various different actions that make people happy. And some of these are totally like it'd basically have to be random, essentially, because as a player who's uninformed, as in a player who's never played, as a player who's never watched any of these archives, would be completely unaware of some of the stuff that's going on in the background, and would not know that having talked to Joy first, and then coming to talk to Felix here, would actually get you a small little bonus of town experience. Like, so it'd almost seem random sometimes, but it's just doing positive actions that make the town happy. Now, here's the thing. If you're thinking, oh, that means there's a chance that players are going to miss out on some experience totally because of random chance. No. First of all, the amount of experience that you get is negligible. It's not a lot. So, first of all, you're not missing out on a lot of experience. It's not really going to speed things up a whole lot. Second of all, there's a system that I haven't implemented yet. If you've been watching these archives since the very beginning, you'd actually know what that system is, because it's one of the first things I'd implemented in my sandbox, and that's a litter system, where basically random bits of litter will spawn in town, and you can pick up that litter, and every little bit of litter that you pick up just gives you like 1 point of experience towards the town's happiness. So basically, you don't have to do every single action to make every single person in town happy, because there will always be trash in the town for you to pick up to rank up the town. And the trash will just, like I said, it'll just be there. So it's kind of like if you need to grind for town happiness levels, then you can just pick up trash instead of actually doing stuff to make people happy. So it's not a big deal if you don't know about the secret. Now, I will be fair and say that with the librarian, he does have a special item that he'll give you if you do something special before you talk to him. So yeah, you will get, so you do kind of miss out on something somewhat big because you won't get that item, but at the same time, it's actually just a stat growth item, and the stat growth amount is very marginal. As well as you also get a very tiny amount of town experience as well. So, and like I said, all of the characters will pretty much have this kind of thing going on, so depending on some stuff that you've already done or haven't done, when you talk to them, you may get a small little bonus experience towards the town happiness. I think the librarian might be the only one who will give you an extra item, and that just makes sense for his character. So he may be the only one who does that. So, anyways, yeah. I don't know if there's anything else I need to talk about. I really kind of think that's pretty much it. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Before I close out the stream, I do want to talk about the thing that I've talked about several times throughout the past streams, which is the cave level. So, of course, I have finished the South Corridor here, which is the Vast Seas level. And since this level is finished, I've been wanting to move on to the next level, but I haven't yet because I was working on this puzzle mechanic. Long story short, someone offered to make a plugin to simplify the puzzle mechanic, and I've been waiting on that guy to finish that plugin, and he just hasn't finished it yet. Now, I thought of something, because I would really like to start working on it. I've thought about the possibility of actually just doing the tiles. I cannot place any events. Events are these right here, these little things that they're usually like NPCs or like collision boxes for triggering events or whatever. Those are events. I cannot place any, though. I can only place tiles down. And the reason for that is because of the method I had originally designed that puzzle mechanic around is very dependent on what number event it gets placed into the world as. And that's why I was hoping someone would have a plugin for this, because making it event number dependent is really irritating in RPG Maker, because there's no way you can change that number. So if we open this event up, for example, it's probably difficult to read on stream because of like bitrate and stuff like that, but just take my word here. It says up here in this top corner of the window, this is ID, event ID 002, and you cannot change that without first either deleting this event and adding more events to move that number up, or deleting all events and then adding this event in to reduce the number. So like it either has to be the first event or the third event, and you cannot change that number. And so the puzzle mechanic that I had built is very dependent on it being event number 3. And if it is not event number 3, or I can technically change it to any number that I want. It could be event number 1. It could be event number 2. It could be event number 3. It can be any event that I want it. But whatever number I set the first one to, all of the other times that puzzle appears throughout the level has to have the exact same event number. So that is to say that if I want to work on the cave level, if my dude there who promised this plugin is not going to pull through, then I will just have to go with the method I had come up with, which is not very efficient. It's also very irritating to implement because of what I just mentioned, was the whole dependence on the event number. So in an effort to kind of buffer some more time in hopes that he gets that plugin finished, before I start placing events, I can just start placing tiles, but there's going to be no transfers between different maps. Like this one here would transfer from here back into the city, and these ones would transfer to the next area, right? Like I can't implement any of those because those are events. Certain tiles, because RPG Maker, need to be placed as an event rather than, as you can see here, needs to be placed as an event rather than just as a standard tile. I won't be able to do that. I won't be able to implement anything at all. I can only place the tiles and that's it. But that is a lot of work. That is a large part of making the level, is just placing the tiles. So I guess I could go ahead and get started on that and at least knock out the tiling. So yeah, I think that might be the plan. I don't know if I'll do it this week or not, because at least this next week, like I said, I may potentially not be doing a lot of work at my new job. I will just be sitting there doing nothing, which means I'll probably write a lot more dialogue for the characters and the quests that are in town, and so maybe I'll just try to implement some more of those throughout this week. So we'll have to see. But those are the plans for what's coming up, and I don't know. Hopefully things go well, and I will have a report on what progress I have made next week. But in the meantime, I do think this stream is going to be over. So thank you guys for watching. Remember to do all the YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe. And also, remember that graph that I showed you? 85% of you are not subscribed, so do it. And also, don't forget to check the stuff in the description. My music, I actually got a recent sale on my music. Good stuff. Also, I got a new comment on the lyric video. So that's pretty cool. Check out my music. Check out my book. It's free. My music is not free. You need to buy that. My book is free, though. Check out my previous game. It's not as good as this game, but this game isn't finished. That one is. So check out my previous game. It is free. My previous game is free, so you can check that out. And also, starting last week, I believe I mentioned it, but if not, my description now also has a link to my Discord channel. My Discord, or channel, server, whatever it's called, it's been pretty quiet in there. It's just kind of me and a handful of friends. We all kind of grew up with this channel. They were subscribers of mine, or I was subscribers of their very tiny channel. You know, it was a very tight niche group, but you know, things are fairly quiet in there, and it'd be nice to kind of liven things up. So if you think you're the kind of person to bring some life to a fairly quiet Discord server, come join the group, share your stuff. If you're working on a game or some music or whatever, we have a channel in there specifically dedicated to sharing our stuff, because I think we need to get rid of this stigma that self-promotion is bad. We need to get rid of that. Because how else are you going to fucking get your name out there? Take it from me, who's tried to get their name out there for years now and still has not gotten 1,000 views on anything that he's dedicated himself to. We need to get rid of this thing of, like, self-promotion is bad or whatever. So, yeah, come join the Discord. Link is in the description. Anything else that I need to talk about? I'm not sure. I don't think so. I think everything has been mentioned. So yeah, check out the stuff in the description. Like, comment, subscribe. See you guys next week. Bye.